Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the May meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission. Commission are quasi-judicial in nature. This is a design review process to determine whether a proposed project is congruous with the special character of the historic district or landmark in which it is located. Decisions of the Commission are based on the record of these proceedings, the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks, and the Secretary of Interior Standards for Rehabilitation. Evidence submitted to the Commission for review will become part of the record. Appeal of a Commission decision must be submitted to the Wilmington Board of Adjustment within 30 days of the date of the Commission's action, and further appeal must be submitted to the Superior Court. Evidence pertaining to an agenda item must be presented during the evidentiary portion of that item. Individuals who wish to address the Commission will be sworn in as witnesses to present material and substantial evidence. The Chair will recognize each witness who wishes to address the Commission during the evidentiary portion. In order to ensure that witness evidence is properly recorded, each individual should come to the podium and clearly state their name and address before addressing the Commission. As a brief reminder, members of the Commission are appointed by and serve at the pleasure of City Council. Our charge is with respect to the protection and preservation of properties located within the city's designated historic districts. The Commission is held to the requirements of the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks, as well as the applicable North Carolina state law. We are to determine whether exterior changes to a building are congruous with the special character of the city's historic districts. It is important that the Commission deliberate the merits of each request in the manner that provides a record on the basis of our decisions. Please remember that our deliberation should be centered on how a project meets the Wilmington Design Standards and whether the changes are congruous. Commissioners, if you have received or been made aware of any information outside the evidentiary hearing related to any agenda item before the Commission, please recuse yourself from that agenda item. Before the meeting begins, please ensure that all cell phones are in silent mode or turned off. At this point, I'll introduce city staff with us tonight. We have Melissa is on vacation. So we have Whitney Stavish, who is the Associate City Attorney, Brian Chambers, who is the new Assistant Planning Director, Linda Painter, who is Planning Director, Ms. Jessica Baldwin, Historic Preservation Planner, Ms. Megan Basic, who is Associate Planner, Ms. Amy Bradshaw, who is Planning Coordinator. I am Kathleen Egan, the Commission Chair, and my fellow commissioners will now introduce themselves.
Stephen Sulkey.
Ashley Wilson.
Christopher Yermel.
Allison Watts.
We will now swear in those present who wish to present evidence related to an agenda item.
If I could have everyone, all applicants, members of the public, and staff who wish to speak tonight. So everyone who has an item that's going before the Commission tonight needs to stand up and please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
We will not be reviewing the minutes tonight. We'll do them next month. And so we will begin the meeting with the first agenda item. The applicant has requested a continuance, so I make a motion to continue this until next month. Could we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion is passed. So we will move on to the second agenda item, which is 120 Church Street.
The applicant proposes to install new composite windows. The subject property is located on the southeastern corner of Church and South 2nd Streets. The subject property is a contributing resource in the Historic District residential. Revisions to all facades of a building and the site are subject to design review in this district. The Captain Taft House was built circa 1888 with significant alterations sometime between 1904 and 1910. The one-story, 3-bay wide, 3-bay deep dwelling has a cross-gable roof and 2 interior chimneys. The front facade features a half-width recessed porch with side entry steps, a projecting gable bay on the northeast corner, and pedimented 3-sided bay on the northeast corner. Above the pedimented bay is a rectangular louver vent with an architrave trim, and the projecting gable bay has an arched vent with a matching architrave trim. The porch shed roof is supported by turned posts and turned spindle balusters. The off-center front entry features a half-light panel wood door with a transom and simple architrave trim to match the vents. The rear south facade contains a recessed porch on the western half of the building and 2 sets of paired windows on the eastern half. Windows throughout the house vary in light patterns, including 6/6, 2/2, 1/1, and 1/6. The applicant proposes to remove 4 windows from the rear south facade. The easternmost windows are wood, paired 2/2, and the westernmost windows are wood, paired 6/6. The applicant also proposes to remove 3 windows from the east side facade. The northernmost window is wood 1/6, the central window is wood 6/6, and the southernmost window is wood 1/1. The applicant also requests to remove existing storm windows from the rear south and east side facades. The applicant seeks to install 7 new windows total on the rear and side facades in the existing openings. All proposed new windows will be Renewal by Andersen, Fibrex 1/1 sash dual pane, double hung windows on the south and east facades. Staff notes that according to the manufacturer, Fibrex is a composite material made from wood and plastic. Staff notes that non-wood windows have been approved in the Historic District residential, but only on non-contributing buildings. Non-wood windows have been approved on contributing structures in the Central Business District overlay. Staff notes that the design standards do not specify composite windows. And finally, staff notes that there are a variety of light patterns on the existing structure, and many structures in the Historic District have multiple light patterns in the windows. Staff would like to enter its report and tonight's presentation in their entirety to the proceedings at this time.
Are there any questions for staff? Okay, thank you. Now we'll give the applicant the opportunity to provide additional evidence or answer questions.
Good evening, y'all. How you doing?
Can you just give us your name and address so we can put it in the minutes?
Jason Roper, 817 Sweetgrass Street, Holly Ridge, North Carolina.
I'm Austin Brigman at 8 St. Mary's Place, Wilmington, North Carolina, 28403.
Thank you. So do you have,
Gentlemen, I'm going to remind you that you're going to need to speak into the microphone or it can't be recorded online. So as you're presenting to the commission, someone's going to need to be speaking. When you're talking, it needs to be into the microphone. Thank you.
Thank you. This is our Renewal by Andersen composite window. It's made from wood fibers and thermal polymers. We have, in the past, been able to put this into other historic districts throughout the country, one in particular back in Pittsburgh that we've gotten approved. We've designed the window to mimic the existing wood windows of the historic districts. We're able to do the full divided lights to match the architecture on the inside and the outside. Were you able to pull up that file?
There you go. Thank you.
How do I make it go? So this was a project I did back in Pittsburgh that we were able to have our Fibrex window approved for. I'm going to go to a picture. So this is an example of a before. We put a window in and the original wood window. If you can see that we're able to install the window without touching the existing brick mold. We can do the simulated divided lights to match the exact depth, thickness, design of any of the wood windows that are in the historic district. If you could look at that and see which one is a wood and which one is a composite, from the street, you're not able to see. So this is just to show that it doesn't take away from any of the historic value of the home, but it's able to give the homeowners the energy efficiency without keep repairing the wood, and going from the single pane to the double pane enhances the value of not only the home, but also helps them with the energy efficiency. I believe you guys did you give them the Fibrex, all the breakdown and everything? So this is an example of we're able to do any custom, any design that is in the historic district, we can match, we can mimic, whether it's the 6/6, custom grill styles. So the whole purpose behind the window was to be able to keep the look of the home without looking like the windows were replaced. And the reason why a lot of the homes in the historic district needs replaced, they're rotting out. And it's very hard to find anyone to be able to come in and replace the old existing windows, being able to repair the panes. This is a solution not only for this homeowner, but all the homeowners in the historic district that do want to keep the look, but increase the energy efficiency of the home. Questions?
Is it a sash replacement?
It's called a insert replacement. So we're able to take out the top sash and the bottom sash of the existing rope and weight windows. The entire frame gets slid into that existing opening. So when it's finished, it looks just like the picture up on the screen.
So they're custom sized,
Custom size down to a 1/16 of an inch.
and you leave the existing exterior casing, remove probably the interior. So do you take out the existing frames?
No, the existing frames stay.
These fit inside of the existing frame. You take out the
Correct.
sashes,
Take out the sashes, take out the two window stops that are holding the sash in, This gets slid right into place. We don't have to disturb the interior trim or the exterior trim. Yeah.
So if there's a reveal on the interior, how do you maintain the reveal and still fit?
So it's designed, the depth of it, the depth of the frame is designed to fit into that 3 5/8 pocket that the windows are now.
And the existing windows, you're speaking, you're the agent for the homeowner. Has the homeowner pursued anyone to do repairs, looked at repairs? Because the nice thing about these classic windows is that they're infinitely repairable by anyone with some reasonable skills and time available.
No, they're not infinitely repairable.
They are.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Ma'am, over here. If you could raise your right hand because you didn't stand up to be sworn in. Do you swear that what testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
I've discovered
The microphone to the mic.
I've discovered from living in the home for 5 years now that some of the windows, when I go to clean around them, you can feel underneath the sill and it's all like crumbling. So 2 of the windows on the 2nd Street side, the east side of the house, the whole frame needs to be replaced inside the wall. And it's black, so I'm thinking maybe mold or something, I don't know. I've talked to different people about restoring the windows. I went to a seminar that they had at Legacy a couple of years ago, but that guy left town. And he was the only one I knew. Now, I understand there are a couple, but I think my point is, like this winter, December was just brutal. I had my gas fireplace on all the time because those windows leaked so bad. And the ones in the back of the house, my son-in-law opened for me because all the windows were painted shut. And so now, well, he can get the windows open, I still can't, but they leak like crazy, and I was freezing, and I don't want to spend all that extra money on utilities. I feel strongly that everybody has to do what they can to support all the environmental issues that we've got going on, and I just feel like having some good windows, these certainly aren't inexpensive, but I only have to do it once, and I would feel better about having windows that I can depend on and that'll keep my bills down. I don't have skills. I can't even get on a ladder anymore. So I can't do it myself. And I have not found reliable people that can do enough things here to, that's just constant. With old homes, it's just constant fixing. So this is one place that I thought I could make a difference and have something that would last me for a long time.
Are there storm windows on every opening and every window in the house right now? Or almost all of them?
There's storm windows across the front of the house and on the side, and all those windows are painted shut, so they don't leak. And the ones in the front don't really get any weather because the porch overhangs. So I don't have any problem with those windows. The ones on the side are the ones that are rotted out, and the ones in the back, I mean, you know, my son-in-law is strong, but I had a crowbar trying to get the window open after he unstuck it, and because they do this, I'm just not strong enough to open them. So, I mean, even thinking that it's a fire hazard, that I can't get out of my house, to have some windows that I could depend on opening would be great.
Any other questions?
Anybody else?
So haven't had anyone actually come in and look at doing the work to restore them?
Well, I talked to that one guy a couple of years ago at the seminar at Legacy, but basically he was taking the old windows out, cooking them in some kind of an oven to get all the paint off, and then repairing what he could. But the 2 of the 3 windows on the east side of the house, there's nothing left except caulk that are holding those panes in. I mean, the what do you call the bars in the windows?
Mullions.
They're like crumbled. So I think to invest a lot of money into restoring these windows, and then I still have a single pane window that's somebody else told me that if the storm windows weren't installed right, that it traps moisture. And that's why the windows have rotted out. So, I don't know. I'm not a window person. I don't understand any of that, but I know 2 of them are rotted. And none of the windows in the back of the house operate the way they were meant to operate. They're certainly not original windows, but you can see the little pulleys in the wall still, but that's all been disassembled. And
Okay.
so,
Have you gone to the Historic Wilmington Foundation as a resource for people to repair the windows?
there wasn't anybody when I checked after this guy left. Now, I have not been lately because I really don't want to repair them. I don't want to have the same issues again in 5 years. I don't have that much time left. I'm in my late 70s. I just want to enjoy my house while I'm able. And I can't keep putting money repeatedly into things that are, right now I've got a bunch of siding that needs to be repaired, and I'll go ahead and do that. But the windows would be one thing that I wouldn't have to worry about anymore. So, all said and done, you're still got a single pane window that's not efficient.
I'm curious if Anderson has looked at these windows that are maybe too badly damaged to repair. Is there a wood window available that you have that's not this composite, that's brand new?
We don't utilize the wood window anymore because of the inherent problems of the rot. So we've transitioned, that was the whole reason we've transitioned over to the composite, which was to mimic our original wood windows without the maintenance issue. We definitely appreciate, Anderson was the first one to make a window, so we absolutely appreciate the historic value of certain homes in certain districts. That's one of the driving factors of us bringing this window to market 30 years ago, was to be able to replace original wood windows without them looking like they've been replaced. So again, the single pane, there's no energy efficiency. Stepping into double pane, it's going to save a lot. The composite is designed to last 40 to 60 years, is what our literature and our testing has shown. So this is a product that can go into the districts. The homeowners can increase the energy efficiency without taking away from the historic value. Because again, the energy efficiency is one of the main driving factors of wanting to replace the homes. We want to get green. We don't want to keep using all the fossil fuels. So this is the solution without stepping into the replacement windows that most people associate when they say replacement windows.
The other thing, too, I don't know where anybody gets good wood anymore. Have you been to Lowe's lately? You can't find a straight 2x4. It's junk.
Yeah,
So what do you make a wood window
We could go
out of?
into the history of the wood and the fast-growing southern pines and what wood windows are made of today compared to what they were pre-1960. With Anderson's, wood windows would last 40, 50, 60, sometimes 80 years. The new wood windows, if you do put a new wood sash replacement, it's only going to last 10 to 20 years before it starts to decay because of the fast-growing southern pines that everyone's using, unless you step into the high-end custom, which you're looking at $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 per unit, which is just unreasonable for any homeowner to do.
This is just a big can of worms for us, potentially. I can't count how many windows in downtown Wilmington I've restored that were in the same condition as these and brought them back, did the work, pulled the sashes out, sometimes boarded them up with plywood, put them in a shop, did the repairs, joined in new rails and stiles and did the reglazing and put them back in place, put in good, properly fitting storm windows, and these things are great because the wood that was used when this house was built was from a tree that was primary growth tree.
Absolutely.
Window companies now that are making wood windows that are not Akoya, not a tropical hardwood, but they're still a good window that have like a 20-year warranty. It's not Anderson window, but there are other companies, and I've installed in commercial projects in downtown Wilmington, really good, I've never seen a window that's $8,000 or $9,000 a piece, but put in really good wood windows and, 7, 8, 9, 10 years on, they're fine. Like I still do maintenance on these properties and see what's going on. But to all of a sudden wholesale start allowing for removal of these, literally it's a piece of art. Like you say they're not infinitely repairable, but they are. They just simply are infinitely repairable. You can keep getting parts for them. You don't have to wait on parts coming from another country or something like that. It's all right there. You can do the work here in town by going to a hardware store, getting new ropes. There's a technique you can do with the insulation behind the exterior casing to air seal the windows. I mean, there's a lot you can do at a fraction of the cost of what a brand new window is. So I'm just afraid that, when we start allowing these things, then it also has an effect on the National Register district that we have. I'm not sure what they did in Pittsburgh. I'm not familiar with what that district looked like in Pittsburgh, if it's a local district or a national district, but you start pulling these things out and putting in largely plastic replacement windows, and then everyone else does it, and you have this cascade of people that keep coming in and doing this. And I understand this thing about the energy efficiency, and I feel bad for that. I understand that, but there's another technique. There are other companies in town. I just spoke to one in Greensboro this morning that did all of the windows in the Trust building, the 9-story building here at the corner of Front and Market, replaced all of those windows. They took all the windows out, put plywood in, took them to the factory, reinstalled them. They go up and down fine. There are so many other ways to go about this than putting the brand new windows in. I don't know how about other commissioners feel, but I, for one, won't be recommending, passage of this project here because the windows that are there are amazing and they can be taken care of infinitely.
What we're,
I have two things I'd like to say to that, and I appreciate how you feel.
No, I love a dialogue. Yeah, please.
I moved to the historic district because I love the look and feel of it, and I would never do anything to destroy that, including on the inside of my house. I have seen in neighboring houses where somebody bought it to flip it, went to Lowe's, got their contractor special, yucky cabinets, toilets, vinyl flooring, and just gutted the whole place and redid it all. And that bothers me, that we won't allow something that's energy efficient, and yet we do allow people to just trash the whole inside of a house.
On the interior, yeah. We don't have a say in that. We don't have a say in that.
Incongruous. I can't accept that. So that's how I feel.
I know that you say that the windows are infinitely repairable, and our window doesn't have to be repaired. It's been laboratory tested to last for 40 years at least, and so we can put it in, and she'll never have to worry about it ever again. Which is what we're offering.
Time anymore.
We want to put a window in there that she's never going to have to worry about ever again. And that's our goal as a company at Renewal by Anderson, is not to have to repair things or, go through the headache of finding it and doing it and getting it done, having people come in and do this and that. We just want to put a window in there that works, that she wants.
It works for me, that I can lift.
And it also has to work for the historic value of the home. I mean, and I appreciate everything can be repairable, but how many times do you repair it and how much money does a homeowner have? They don't have infinite ways and infinite funds to keep repairing what keeps breaking. If we can find a solution that is going to be right for the homeowner and right for the city.
If I can interrupt, there are countless projects downtown where 20, 30 years ago, even myself 20 years ago, did repairs on a window, and every once in a while you go out and you put a little coat of paint, or maybe you reglaze a section of it, but once you do it right the first time, they're fine. You don't have any issues. It's not, it simply isn't rocket science. You know, the Historic Wilmington Foundation does that class, and what's neat about the class is they demystify the window. It's not real complicated. You pull these things apart, and you've got these balances and parts. Like if someone were to smash this window out, if something were to, a projectile in a hurricane were to bust that thing out, there are like 3 people in town that can repair that, maybe.
What,
It's
this
it's
window?
your company. That's the only person that can repair that is you guys, not a handful of different craftsmen that know how to repair a wood window, and they're around. And like I said, there's a company in Greensboro that's all they do. The name of the company is Double Hung, and they just repair wood windows like the ones they did in the Trust Building. I mean, it's not that complicated, and there are people that do the work.
Again, it's not about the complexity of the project itself. It's about the homeowner being able to live in a comfortable home and not having to continue to repair it.
Again, the repairs aren't necessarily. I don't buy that. Like I've done these repairs
So have I.
myself.
I've been doing this for 30 years.
I
I've taken windows
just
apart.
did
I've put them
35
together.
windows a couple of weeks ago in a house on South 3rd Street. They're amazing. They're amazing. The homeowner's in there. We have storm windows on the exterior. It's nice and sound resistant. There's no drafts.
So
This house is built in 1870 and has 1870 windows, and they're doing great.
Well,
Can
my windows
can I
are-
say something? My house, I have 35 windows, all from 1896. I've had about 3 or 4 repaired. That can be done. And then I went to Joey Stevens at Stevens Hardware. We measured out 35 storm windows. That all had to be exact because it's a historic house. They were installed, totally protect the original windows. They'll be there for 50 years, 100 years. These were from Larson. It's a high-quality storm window, low E, the whole 9 yards. And, I mean, you do that once, you're not fixing the windows again and again because they are protected. The only thing that can happen to those windows is my wife hits them with the vacuum cleaner. That's about it. No rain hits them, no ice hits them, no wind hits them, nothing. They are behind the Larson storm windows. And they're the original windows, 127 years old. I mean, I'm sorry, because I didn't even know if we can authorize this because the standard is replacing wood windows with wood windows, and this is a totally different product. I mean, this is maybe something for the zoning commissioner, but not for us. I mean, it is, it would be quite a step, quite a step.
Yeah, standard 3.2, set by the National Park Service and Department of Interior, that helps Wilmington maintain its rich, vibrant, historic designation. There are a couple standards within that section 3.2, but anyways, it takes a little bit more work, I'll grant that, and I hate that it does, and I wish there were more people that did this kind of work to do the restoration, but the companies do exist. It takes a little bit of research and finding and kicking tires and finding the right people to do it, but it's absolutely doable. It's not like there's only one way to go about this.
It's a lot harder for a homeowner
It's not easy.
to find
It is not
these
easy.
resources and to keep at it and add it and add it. It's,
But there shouldn't be a keep at it and at it and at
well,
it.
there
It
is.
doesn't necessarily have
doesn't
to be
matter
that
if
way.
it's plumbing or electrical or siding or
This
windows.
is true.
It's all, and you get one guy and he does a lousy job, so then you go on to the next
Ma'am.
one.
I
It's-
can't stand
it's
that.
never
Yeah,
ending.
it would help to have that recorded.
I'm not talking loud enough.
No, I'm sorry, it's just the microphones they pick up on the recording.
Sorry. I'm retired. I don't want to have to do this anymore. I want to enjoy what's left of my life. And
Well,
I'm not going to chase after people anymore.
I'd be happy to show you my storm windows, and if you want to see how they're installed, I mean, trust me, if you did
I have
that,
storm
you'd be
windows all the way
okay.
around the house.
What? Sorry?
I have storm windows all the way around the house. And
Properly fitting.
Yeah, they make they're different Every storm window, what they may have done in your property, and I'm not sure. I did stop by there and I looked around your house on the corner. It's a beautiful house, obviously. Amazing neighborhood.
I love it.
But not all the storm windows are really, they're not installed right and not sized properly.
I can't lift them. If there's a fire, I can't get out of my house.
Well,
But and also the way to go about that, like to do this with a restored window with a storm window, it almost always comes out cheaper than replacing the window.
Well, you
Is
still
there
got
no-
a storm window, and then you can't open a window because the storm's on there. I can't lift them, so then I've got to hire somebody to take them off, put them back on.
The storm
Twice
should
a
also
year.
open, yeah.
Pardon me?
The storms should open,
Mine don't.
and, right.
You have to go outside, get on a ladder, twist these little things, and then be strong enough to lift it off before it smashes down on your head, and I don't do ladders anymore. So it's just, I mean, I understand. My neighbor across the street is in his 80s. He's still up 2 stories on a ladder, does all his own repairs and everything. I don't have the expertise nor the desire.
I mean, there was a company just down a block east of you that just had a bunch of work done on their, I mean, I'm sorry, but it's just not as easy. It is, you're right about that. It is not as easy to hire as it is to hire a company and just have them come in, and it probably takes a day, 2 days maybe, something
days.
like that.
Yep.
That's convenience. I grant that. I totally feel for that, and I wish there were more craftspeople that did the work. I feel like Cape Fear Community College is doing some excellent work with the city and with the Historic
Yeah.
Wilmington Foundation's assistance, and there are
Yeah,
more people
5 or
doing
10
it.
years, that'll be great, but by then I'll be somewhere in assisted living.
Okay,
I
thank you.
understand.
No, I mean, that's pretty much,
I think we'll move on to the next segment. We have some consideration to discuss on this. We'll open the evidentiary portion to members of the public if anyone wants to come forward to discuss this particular agenda item. No? Okay, then we'll close the evidentiary portion and go to commissioner deliberation.
I mean, there's a reason why there aren't any precedents for this at this point. There were 3 precedents, and
I think we need to do more research. I did some this
Yeah.
afternoon and went out on the National Park Service website and read a number of monographs on replacement materials when you cannot get what you need. And they do discuss the use of combination of wood and epoxy and other materials to replace wooden pieces on buildings when you just don't have the opportunity to replace them. But I don't know how North Carolina treats it. I just was reading on the federal level what they were doing. So I think rather than jump into making a decision, we should do some more research and get some help from the office in Raleigh and see whether these windows have been used anywhere in North Carolina.
the State Historic Preservation Office.
Yes. And I'm willing to follow up on that. I mean, I would like to find out what's happening in the rest of North Carolina with respect to materials like this, because apparently on the federal level, it's starting to make some inroads. And so it just depends on how that's filtering down to us. So my recommendation would be that we continue this until we can do enough research to feel comfortable one way or another. Because I don't think we have enough information to really approve or disapprove.
Ashley?
I don't feel like we have enough, that the homeowner has done enough research to fix this problem, and that it would be a travesty to destroy these windows. I don't think that we have enough there. And I really would hate to get into just, it's so easy. And you say these windows are going to last for 40 years. These windows have lasted and keep lasting and, and can be repaired. And I think it's going to set a precedent that we're going to be sorry for.
I think what you were saying too about the replacement materials, I feel like those are in cases where a replacement in wood is not available. And if the windows could be repaired with wood or replaced with wood windows, I don't know, I feel like there's kind of, it's a little bit different. And I feel like we talk about like character defining features, and windows and doors are character defining in my mind. So I think doing everything we can to preserve those original windows, maybe we need to work with the Historic Wilmington Foundation and getting those craftspeople, making that information more available. But I think I kind of agree that I'm not so sure about the composite windows yet.
And if I could point out one other thing, on the conditions that were set by staff at condition number 4, the existing window openings will remain as size, and I'd be happy to hear about what this technique might be, but I just don't see, if you keep the existing frame of the window and you're putting another frame inside of that, like I'm really curious about it. If you have an existing window opening, you've got the frame with the 2 sashes fit inside of that with the stops, then you put another frame inside of it, how does not everything just compress and get smaller, and you can't really achieve that condition number 4? I mean, you've got a sill that's installed, so the sill is coming up, and this should be recorded, yeah.
So this is the frame that sits inside the existing wood frame. So the wood stops come off. Wood stop would be right to here. So when we take that wood stop off, we're not encroaching in, because that's where the 3/4 inch wood stop is on the window now. On the sill, it's going to come up 3/8 of an inch.
And then caulk that joint between that sill and the existing
Correct.
sub-sill.
Yeah, we do a caulk underneath,
Okay.
and it sets in. I understand the push and the pull. I mean, I love the old wood windows too. I mean, I'm a craftsman from years ago. I did the same thing, took them apart, repaired them back, and
You should do that here. Let's do it.
this is so much easier.
I know it is. I know. All right.
It's just,
I know.
yeah. So,
Okay.
but at a federal level, they are allowing to switch over to the composites to replace the woods.
Like say on a tax credit project,
Correct.
if she were pursuing his credits for the work, which she could, a tax credit project, for example, would allow for that and not have a demotion against the actual credit.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
More than welcome to come to an install.
And,
Or
I'm
meet with
sorry.
you're more than welcome to come to an install. or
Okay.
Speak to our project manager, anything you need to
Okay.
satisfy your interest.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. So I think we need a motion. The decision is whether we just flat out deny, or do we continue to get more research? What's the group feel?
I make a motion not to approve.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then the motion's denied.
Read the motion, right, on the,
Oh, right, you have to read the whole motion.
Ashley?
Okay.
Sorry.
I move not to approve. I move to deny the request to install new composite windows. Details as shown in the drawings, plans, photographs, submittals, and narrative statement contained in the application and supplemental materials and statements made at this meeting are part of this request unless otherwise noted. The motion is based on the evidence presented before us, the application submittal's testimony, staff report, including findings of fact. The proposed request does not comply with the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks, is not compatible with materials, feature, design, context, and character of the historic building and the historic nature in which it is located, and is not congruous with the site, streetscape, and historic aspects of the historic residential as a whole. Applicable Design Standards 1.6, Secretary of the Interior Standards, 3.2, Windows and Doors, Standards 1 through 7, 13.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and none opposed, so the motion carries. All right, we'll move to the next agenda item, 614 Walnut Street, also composite windows.
The applicant proposes to install new composite material windows. The subject property is on the south side of Walnut Street between North 6th and North 7th Streets. The subject dwelling is a contributing resource in the Historic District residential. Revisions to all facades of a building and the site are subject to design review in this district. 614 Walnut Street, built circa 1900, is a 1.5-story, 3-bay wide, 2-bay deep side gable house with a standing seam metal roof, 2/2 sash wood and 2/2 sash wood windows. The front facade features a full-width porch with square piers, a simple balustrade and railing, and a metal awning. At the rear is a 1-story addition perpendicular to the dwelling. The addition has a non-historic door and 2 1/1 windows and 1 4/2 window. The front and side facade windows are decorated with faux shutters. The applicant proposes to remove 5 2/2 windows on the front facade and 4 2/2 windows from the west side facade. The applicant proposes to remove 4 windows from the east side facade, 5 windows from the rear facade, and 3 windows from the rear addition. All windows are 2/2 of horizontal muttons, except on the rear addition. 2 of the addition's windows are 1/1 and 1 is 4/2. The applicant also seeks to remove all storm windows.
Questions for Megan?
Oh,
You finished?
not done
No,
yet.
sorry.
The applicant seeks to install 21 new windows, total on all facades in the existing openings. All proposed new windows will be renewal by Andersen, 5 bricks, 2/2 horizontal mud, fully divided light, sash, dual pane, double hung windows on all facades. Staff notes that according to the manufacturer FiberX, the composite material is made from wood and plastic. Staff notes that non-wood windows have been approved in Historic District residential, but only on non-contributing buildings. Non-wood windows have been approved on contributing structures in the Central Business District overlay. Staff notes that the design standards do not specify composite windows. And finally, staff notes that there are a variety of light patterns on the existing structure, though the main portion of the structure has 2/2 horizontal muttons on all windows. Staff would like to enter its report and tonight's presentation in their entirety into the proceedings at this time.
Thank you. Any questions for Megan? No? Okay, thank you. If the applicant would like to come forward to provide additional evidence or answer questions, please just give us your name and address so we can get it into the minutes.
Hey, my name is Brian Porter, and I live at 5320 Barretto Way here in Wilmington. I grew up in Wilmington. Mr. Durant did as well. He's very familiar with every upgrade that he's made to his home along the years. And really, I don't have any new information. It's the same material that you just heard in the previous presentation. So we were just looking to improve his home and so that he could continue passing it on to future generations. But that's all that I have. Are there any further questions you guys have?
The condition of the current windows, I can't tell from any of the photographs. There's nothing real, no good clear photo of what the condition of the existing windows are like or what's going on with these. Why are they being sought to be replaced in the first place?
Yeah, it's a similar issues from the previous applicant. The windows are not energy efficient. They're not easy to open. Just functionality. One of the big draws is the next door home. The home right next door has had wood windows replaced. So the windows that we have maintain the exact look of those windows. So that's one of the biggest appeals to the homeowner is we're going to be able to do this in a way that's going to keep a comparable look to what's there with a material that we believe will be more energy efficient and provide a lot of the same functionality, just without some of the issues that homeowners experience with the traditional wood windows. Because the big thing that we aim to do in this case is to keep the consistent look with what's there now.
It's a valuable pursuit. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Over there.
Good afternoon. My name is Anthony M. Durant, Jr., 614 Walnut Street, Wilmington, North Carolina. I have been in this home since I was approximately 4 years old. We originally moved in, it was a one-story house. We dropped it down during Hurricane Hazel. We noticed that 12-foot ceiling had all the extra room up top. We dropped it down and made it a two-story home. At that time, the roof was taken off, and it was the Hemingway District at that time. And it was approved through the city of Wilmington to replace the roof. We did it with shingles. Approximately 4 or 5 years ago, the shingles were giving us problems. We came back down, and they told me I had to put a metal roof on. No problem. As you can see, the metal roof is on. Paid for. And the windows are the original windows in the house, except on the back of the house where the kitchen is. Originally did not have windows in the kitchen. We put windows there. And on the back porch, we put windows there because we closed it in. The windows, they had the iron weights on the bottom where you push them up and so them down. Some of the windows, the iron weights are completely gone.
I'm sorry, could you say that last thing? I didn't catch the last thing you said. What was completely gone?
The iron weights
Okay,
are completely
got it.
fallen off. They're no longer there on some of the windows. You may find it on one or two, but I do not allow anybody to open the windows because they may fall out. And this was the reason I wanted to go ahead and get the windows replaced. Right now, we have to put blankets up when it's cold. If you don't, the house won't properly warm up. And I would like to keep the house as long as I can. I'm 79 years old, and like I said, my parents got this house back in the 40s. My father retired from the Atlantic Coast Line Railroad, so when they moved to Florida, he didn't go, he retired. My mother used to work for the Wertheimer Bag Company, and this is in the family ever since. That's it, thank you.
Thank you.
I got a couple questions. You said the weights are gone. Are they not in the walls? Did they come loose, or somebody removed them?
They came loose, and we took them and we made crab baskets with weights on them.
So they're not in, okay.
They're not even there anymore.
All right. Have you had any contractors look at repairing the windows?
I've had several contractors, and everybody says they can't do it. It's a historical district, you need to do this, you need to do that. And then they recommended some company that would take them and refurbish them, but they said it would cost me $4,000 or $5,000 per window. And the people that, at 417 North 7th Street, they just recently put new windows in there, and I talked to them, and they suggested the Anderson renewal.
All right. And do you have Storms windows at all?
Yes, they have storm windows in Stevenson Hardware on Castle Street. I think they're still there. That's who I get to repair the storm windows.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And energy efficiency is an issue, right? Utility bills
Definitely.
are high?
All right. Compared, I have a house in Leland, and my light bill run like $118, and on the Walnut Street, they run almost $300. And both homes are totally electric.
And the house in Leyland is a lot newer, right?
I just built it.
Oh, okay. So a house like this, and I could have mentioned this to the previous applicant, and I didn't, but they're, you know, with the high utility bill, you have an electric bill, and you owe this much money because you used this much energy to condition the space or whatever it is, and they're like so many ways to recapture some of that savings, the energy savings. Obviously, the storm windows are one, but you can also take the insulation out of the attic and seal all the penetrations and the holes in the tops of the walls, because all that heating and cooling goes through all of that. Put foam around the fixtures and the ceilings from the attic, seal the crawl space, tightening up the ductwork on the HVAC system, sealing the ducts with mastic. Like Duke Energy doesn't care if you're losing energy to a window or an under-insulated property or lack of insulation and air sealing in the attic and the crawl space. It's money that they're charging regardless, but there are other ways to compensate for a window that may not be quite as energy efficient as these newer ones. So regardless of the outcome of this, there are so many other techniques that are not expensive that really should be considered on every home: sealing crawl space, sealed attic, all these things that don't cost a whole lot of money, but there are other techniques to help with those utility bills.
Originally, we had kerosene heat. I had that system taken out about 10 years ago, and a complete new heating and air conditioning system put in. And
It's all new ducts and everything were installed.
And the house was not completely independent. I had it completely independent, and had the vents put in periodically around the house. There's new electrical, I had to put all new electrical
Wiring.
And all of that. The inside upstairs, we have insulation blown in. There is insulation in the walls, because when we remodeled downstairs, we put the insulation in the walls, and but now you can feel the air coming, and you can almost see under the windows and around. So we put insulation in there to try to hold it out, do whatever we can, you know.
It's a great looking house.
How many square feet is your home?
I'm sorry, I don't remember.
The square footage of the house, you asked?
I don't remember.
I'm, okay.
It has 4.5 baths upstairs. Downstairs, it has a living room, dining room, den, master bedroom, kitchen, and a utility room.
More questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We will now open the evidentiary portion to members of the public, if anyone would like to come forward with additional information. And we'll close the evidentiary portion and open this up to commissioner deliberation.
I mean, it's not that different than the last one.
I know,
I mean, the same issues.
I know.
Until we get more of these kids graduating from the technical school in town, C-Tech, and going through these training programs. I mean, we've had some job sites with kids making it and people interested in doing this work, and I'm afraid that and there are companies that do this. They're out there. It's a little harder to find them. It's not so easy to go on a website and call an 800 number and have the problem taken care of, which is great. And I wish it was like that with doing these windows the way it needs to be done to actually restore them and maintain them. But I think if we start thinking about the fact that it's a little harder to get the work done properly in the meantime, what's going to happen is we're going to lose all of these classic window openings to a newer window that does have its drawbacks. And there are other ways, like I said, to get the energy efficiency. And I worry it doesn't, it's not one of the existing standards that we're working by. It kind of ruins that standard 3.2 from the Department of Interior, and same argument. It's
Just not ready to approve these.
right.
So could we have a motion then?
I move to deny the request to install new composite windows. Details as shown on the drawings, plans, photographs, submittals, and narrative statement contained in the application and supplemental materials and statements made at this meeting are part of this request unless otherwise noted. The motion is based on the evidence presented before us, the application submittals, testimony, staff report, including the findings of fact. The following conditions shall be applied to ensure compliance with the design standards, those set forth in staff report 1 through 6. Am I saying this right? No. I'm sorry, I apologize. I've done that before. The proposed request with conditions does not comply with the Wilmington design standards for historic districts and landmarks and is not compatible with the materials, features, design, context, and character of the historic building and the historic district in which it is located, and is not congruous with the site, streetscape, and historic aspects of the historic district residential as a whole. Applicable design standards 1.6 and 3.2.
A second?
Second.
Ashley has seconded, so we will go to, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries. And then we'll go to the last agenda item, which is 102 North 15th Street, construction of a new brick fence.
The applicant proposes to alter the existing driveway and install a wood and brick fence on a corner lot. The subject property is located on the northeast corner of North 15th Street and Princess Streets. The subject property is a contributing resource to the Carolina Heights Winoka Terrace Historic District overlay. Only that which can be seen from the public right-of-way, excluding alleys, is subject to design review. The Albert S. Williams House was designed by John Russell Pope and built circa 1916. It is a 2-story brick-clad L-shaped dwelling constructed in the Georgian Revival style. The 5-bay-wide dwelling features a cross-gable roof with a molded cornice with 8/1 and 6/1 windows. The central front entry consists of a 6-panel door with a 4-light transom and a curved pedimented surround with fluted pilasters. The south facade features an exterior corbelled chimney with a full-width piazza with square piers. 12-light double doors flank the chimney on both the first and second stories, and quarter fan lights articulate the attic story. A detached 1-story, 2-car garage built circa 1920 is located in the northeast corner of the property. The garage features a gable-end standing seam metal roof, weatherboard siding, and sliding garage doors on the south facade. Historically, the piazza featured a balustrade with Chinese Chippendale details on both stories, and the quarter fan lights were louvered vents. The applicant proposes to install a 6-foot-high brick fence along the south yard, beginning from the front corner of the piazza along the front facade of the dwelling. The proposed fence will be set back from the south corner of the front facade 8 to 12 inches and run parallel to the southern property line as seen here by the red line on the site plan submitted by the applicant. The fence will be set back 4 feet 4 inches from the existing 36-inch to 44-inch high retaining wall. The proposed fence will be set back 8 to 12 inches from the northern corner of the front facade and run along the northern property line approximately 8 inches, again shown here by the red line on the site plan submitted by the applicant. The brick fence will have a running bond and lattice design. The lower portion will be a running bond of approximately 2 feet 4 inches high, followed by a single brick header course, then a 2-foot-high lattice design. The lattice design will be topped by a running bond course, a dogtooth course, and capped with 3 running bond courses. The diagram here shows the approximate proportions of the proposed brick fence, and the piers will be 20 inches wide by 20 inches deep and 7 feet high. The brick fence will have 3 4-foot-wide black metal gates. The applicant also proposes to construct a 6-foot-high wooden fence along the rear and northern property lines. This fence will be a board-on-board, pressure-treated wood fence with a cap top and have gates at the garage. The fence is shown in the brown line on the site plan. The applicant also proposes to alter the existing driveway. The proposed driveway will be 12 feet wide, and a portion of the existing retaining wall will be removed and reconstructed. The new retaining wall will match in dimension, proportion, and material to the existing. The applicant also proposes to remove the existing gravel and install a concrete driveway with a brick outline. The applicant also proposes to remove 4 trees from the east and side yards. The number of replacement trees in approximate locations have not been provided. The applicant submitted a series of photos with images of varying fences in the vicinity of the project. Staff included the same in their precedents, and we wanted to include them to provide some clarity with those tonight. Here we have 1702 Chestnut. The red line on the larger scale map indicates the location of the fence shown in the images. This is 1520 Chestnut. Here we have 1750 North 15th Street, which is diagonally across from the applicant. Here we have 15 North 15th Street, also right along beside the applicant. And here directly across the street from the applicant, we have 20 North 15th Street. Lastly, I've included a set of images showing all 4 corners of North 15th Street and Princess Streets. Staff notes that John Russell Pope, the dwelling's architect, was a prominent early 20th century American architect whose designs include the West Building of the National Gallery of Art and the Jefferson Memorial. Staff also notes that there are a variety of fence styles in Wilmington that reflect the form, design, materials, and tastes of the late 1800s and early 1900s. All the districts within the boundary of the historic district, that part should not be there. Staff would like to enter its report in tonight's presentation in its entirety to the proceedings.
Any questions for staff?
Could you go back to the one, it was the one with the most information about this lot that showed, yes, yeah, that one right there. So, no, not that one, before that. Yes, that one, thank you. So breaking this down, are any of these fences proposed to be, it's a corner lot, are any proposed to be higher than 6 feet?
No.
Like that?
No.
Okay.
And our design standards note that front yards should be 4 feet and that rear yards are 6 feet, but because of the corner, this is where y'all come into play.
Along the Princess Street side is the 6 feet.
That, yes, ma'am, all the fences that you're seeing in that image are to be 6 feet tall,
All
as he's
of them,
requesting.
even the ones in the front.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll now give the applicant the opportunity to provide additional evidence or answer questions.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Keeter. I'm an attorney here in Wilmington with Block, Crouch, Keeter, Beam, and Syed, 310 North Front Street. And the owners who are here with me will be presenting to you. This is David Drummond and James Carlton. They'll be presenting to you the overall plan of what they have in mind. Of course, they want to build this fence not only for privacy, but also to enhance the character of their existing home, which has been greatly described and is, in our opinion, a showpiece for that area. This is in an overlay district, and so therefore they are here before you tonight requesting for the approval of a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of this fence. I do want to just mention before they begin their presentation that David here owned property in Charleston, an 1855 house, and actually restored it with the Historic Commission's approval of his work, and was awarded, I'm going to get this wrong, it's called the Carolopolis Award, which if you've been in Charleston, you see the little plaques on the houses. So he is not unfamiliar with the processes, the regulations, and has gone to great lengths to design this fence in accordance with what he believes to be the character of the neighborhood and the overall to be congruous with all the development in the overlay district. So I'll turn it over to David and to James, and if you have any questions of me, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thought we got you for you to talk. I'm David Drummond. We're at 102 North 15th Street, and we've been here 4 months, and we really love it here. So, and
I'm James Carlson, also at 102 North 15th Street. So, you know, it's the Albert S. Williams house. It was designed by, obviously, John Russell Pope. William Leitner was the architect that actually built the home. It's a very large structure, so we don't have it was in my original package we submitted that talks about the proportions of everything. So the house itself in the front is about 24 foot tall. Our windows in the front are 42 inches wide, I believe, by 6 feet. And the bottom frame of the windows are 4 feet off the ground. So asking for a 6-foot fence, it'd only come up 2 feet relative to the bottom of the
Sir,
window.
can you move closer to the mic? Thank you.
Okay. Do I have to repeat all that?
No.
Okay, all right. So that was our thinking. Our neighbors obviously have a lot of brick fences. So looking at what would be appropriate, we opted for the brick vice a wood fence around the property. And like Jeff had said, it's for security and privacy. There are a lot of foot traffic around that particular area of 15th Street and Princess. We've got the school. And so, you know, we're living on a corner, everyone walks by. So the design is obviously on the screen here. And it was something that we looked, you know, from Historic Wilmington and just from locally from our neighbors to follow the similar suit.
yeah, we spent a lot of time looking at our own property and trying to come up with it visually and to respect the house we love to death. I can't wait to share more of it when we have time to get involved with the historical side of Wilmington more so, but we did go with what we would hope would work well for our neighborhood and respect everybody as much as possible, along with our wants.
Sir, I'm sorry. I know you guys keep switching who's talking, but whoever is
it's
speaking
not
has
there.
got to speak into the microphone.
Okay, this will be the first in my life, actually, that people don't hear me. So anyhow, that's pretty much all I had to say, unless y'all have other questions.
Did you introduce yourself to all these neighbors, or just do the gorilla measuring like in the dark of night or something like that?
No,
Well, just working in the yard, you meet
No,
everybody.
Marguerite
everybody's-
lives across the street. Next to him are Nikki and Ryan, who just built a fence a year and a half ago that is 6 foot tall. We know Beth right across the street. Next door neighbors, John Odom, Jan and Bill Odom.
Bill and Jan.
Across the street, there's Russell. We know all our neighbors.
Can you explain the driveway? What's the intent with why the driveway work widening at the front
So
there?
we don't hit it like everybody else has in the past. It's my car probably has 8 inches maybe on each side, and it's been beaten up and restored with the different types of bricks over and over and over. And I have to do a 8-point turn up in our yard and up at the front of the garage. And so we need 2 feet to do that with, to be able to reverse and come back out.
Understood. Yeah.
Yeah, directly across the street, their driveway, we just mimicked what they had. They have 12 feet. We were looking for the same. And it's really just so we don't hit the wall and we can actually see a little bit better as we pull out onto Princess Street.
If I may also add, you were asking about the neighbors. I have personally spoken with the Odins, who are across the street, across 15th Street.
Next door.
And they,
110 North
I'm
15th.
sorry, they're right beside them, and they could not be here. They had a job commitment in Greensboro, but they were wholeheartedly endorsed the plan. They've seen the design and the application. And
Actually, when I first was starting to work on it, their daughter did that for me.
well, there you go. And Mr. Audette, who is right here, he's another neighbor, and he is here to speak as well. And well, I mean, obviously, he's not the applicant.
If he could just wait for a few
Yes.
minutes.
Gotta wait, Bill.
Public comment here in a second.
We have no more family here.
Okay, are there any other questions for the applicant? No. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
And now we'll open the evidentiary portion to members of the public who wish to offer comments or additional information. Just give us your name and address so we can make sure that they can get it in the minutes.
My name is William Audette, and I live at 1505 Princess Street. And my property is contiguous to the property in question. I've spoken to some of my neighbors. I've seen representatives, representation of the fence, the brick fence that these gentlemen want to build. And I don't know of anyone in our neighborhood that has any objection to what they want to do. That's basically my comment. It seems like the red brick was a common building material in the era in which the house was built, and nobody seems to have any objections at all as to what they want to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll close the, oh, we have another comment?
Yes, I just want to say that
Just give us your name and address.
My name is Donald James. Excuse me where I'm dressed. I talked with Mr. Drummond for months about this project. He had seen a previous wall I did on Market Street across from the veterinarian hospital for Heinberg Insurance Company. Yes. I've been in masonry ever since I was a kid. I'm not the man I was 10 years ago, thank God. But I did a lot of work in the historic district for different people. I repaired that wall on 5th and Market at the lawyer's office probably about 5 or 6 times, where people come from downtown and run into the wall for some other reason. I did several jobs down here, downtown. I tore down Kevin O'Grady's steps in the historic district on Church Street and repaired those and redid those for him. I've been in masonry ever since I was a kid. My father was a mason. My brothers are masons. I just did a job on Live Oak. I don't know, it's a historic district, but this is the letter that we got from the historic district.
And excuse me, sir, and what is your comment that you want to make about this particular project?
I can guarantee you that it'll be up to specs.
The way it's designed?
up the space.
Oh, so that's your
Solid footing, rebar in the footing, poured concrete, solid footing. And the driveway is real narrow. I think it's lesser than 9 feet. It's real narrow, and it's tough to get in and out of there. And I was planning to widen it, because I pour concrete as well. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank
God
you.
bless you.
Can I make one more comment? I'm sorry. I just wanted to add, I hope that you have had an opportunity to take a look at the exhibits that the applicant submitted. I mean, the brick color, the content of the brick is very similar to what is there. It even has a historic and rustic look, not dilapidated, of course. I mean, it's called Old Historic Lynchburg, I believe. So it's going to be very much in character with what is already downtown, as well as with this particular structure. I just wanted to add that, and want to close by saying that this is certainly going to be congruous with the neighborhood, with the overlay district. Neighbors are endorsing it or supporting it, and these folks have experience, and they know what it means to try to preserve the historic district and to add to it, to benefit it. So we just request that you would grant the certificate of appropriateness. Thank you.
And that closes the evidentiary portion, and we will move to commissioner deliberation.
I think that especially the widening the driveway is important because there's a lot
Ms.
of
Wilson?
traffic. Yes.
In the mic.
A lot of traffic and foot traffic up and down Princess Street. And it's if you widen it, it would be easier. All of a sudden you come up on this driveway, if somebody's coming out, it would be, it's dangerous. Mhm. It's a, what do they call it? It's a safety hazard to the traveling public.
Okay. I agree with the widening of the driveway. I think that's a good idea. My only concern with this plan is that 6-foot fence comes right to the front of the house. And I'm not really comfortable with having it come that far forward at 6 feet.
Yeah, it looks like it's 4 feet, 4 inches, if I'm not mistaken, if I read this right on the screen here now.
It's hard to, but
It's
it's
4
4 feet
4
wide.
inches from the current retaining wall along Princess Street, and then they're saying that it would be about 8 inches set back from the side piazza that you see here. So it would be more or less in line with this edge of the piazza on the side of, that's been historically there since the building was built.
So the 6 feet you're talking about, Jessica, that's in addition, does that include that rising part at the sidewalk? It goes up from the sidewalk?
No, ma'am, the 6 feet would start from the top of their ground.
up,
So
right.
if you're on the sidewalk, it would be additionally higher.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's my only concern.
I think having the lattice kind of in there to open it up makes it a little bit less like a
Heavy,
solid
yeah.
wall. But I understand what you're saying. It is tall, but I think I'm okay with it because of that open lattice. It kind of breaks it up, makes it not feel like such a solid wall, I think.
And it's a busy street, and I like the fact that it is set back a little bit because it doesn't make it seem like you're just staring at a brick
Exactly,
wall
right.
when you're walking
Yeah.
by.
Like another property on Princess Street, not too far from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good design, and that lattice does help open it up, and the massing is improved by that design.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion then?
I move to approve The request to construct a new brick fence, new wooden fence, and make alterations to the existing driveway on a corner lot. Details as shown on the drawings.
Ms. Wilson, I'm sorry.
Details as shown on the drawings, plans, photographs, submittals, and narrative statement contained in the application and submittal materials and statements made at this meeting and part of this request unless otherwise noted. This motion is based on the evidence presented before us, the application, submittals, testimony, staff report, including the findings of fact. The following conditions shall be applied to ensure compliance with the design standards. The proposed request with condition does comply with the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks, is compatible with the materials, features, design, context, and character of the historic building and the historic district in which it is located, and is congruous with the site, streetscape, and historic aspects of the Carolina Heights Winoka Terrace Historic District overlay as a whole. Applicable design standards, 1.6 Secretary of the Interior standards, 2.1 landscaping, 2.2 public right-of-way, 2.3 fence and walls, 2.4 walkways, driveways, and off-street parking, 3.3 masonry stone standards 1, 3, and 4.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Since we have completed with new business, we will move to items from the commission and items from staff.
We're going to be having a design standards update community meeting on May 23rd. Homeowners should be receiving postcards in the mail about it. There's a survey online that we will send out, broadcast, and let through outlets to let folks know to fill that out, as well as like a way to access the survey with a QR code on the postcard. The meeting's going to be held at the MLK Center. That was a space we had that was big enough. So, and it's there within the National Register District, but outside of the local district. So, just wanted to inform you guys.
That's not an email or anything we sent along with this packet?
No, correct. That is not. I will send you to you in the email, though.
Okay. And didn't you just do a training recently with real estate agents?
That is tomorrow.
Oh,
we are doing a training with Historic Wilmington, a collaboration between the City of Wilmington, Historic Wilmington Foundation, and the Cape Fear Realtors Association. And Commissioner Stephen Sulky is going to be giving a realtor class, a continuing ed class on how to sell historic properties.
How many are signed up for the disaster planning on June 9th?
There's plenty of room if you all would like to sign up as well. There's June 9th, we'll have the resiliency planning class, which has also been sent around. So just a reminder.
Is part of the discussion tomorrow on this training having to do with advising on, agents advising on buyers in the historic district and what that means and what they can and can't do, and giving them some awareness?
I think so, but you should check with Commissioner Sulky because he's teaching it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And we just had a class with Historic Wilmington Foundation about how to get a COA, and we had like 8 head, and we had a nice time.
Excellent.
Okay, if that's all we have tonight. Oh, one more, Linda?
And as you noted, Madam Chair, with me this evening is Brian Chambers, who's our Assistant Director for Planning and Development. So he will be here in the future, so I'll be attending as needed, but Brian's going to be taking over for me at these meetings. So I'm leaving you in good hands.
Great. Welcome, Brian. Thank you. Okay, with that then, do we need a motion to adjourn, or can we just adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, we're done.
Amen.